Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Side to Side Sportscast, where it's your boys Will and Woody. We come to break it all down from the court side, the ring side, the sidelines, and for those sports they play outdoors, we outside, we side to side. That's how we ride. And today we riding with someone special. It's our main man, Dan, the New York Giants fan, in the place to be today. What's up, Dan? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me. Now, I don't know if I want to be a Giants fan today, but I appreciate you calling me that. It's not a good time.
Well, you know what? I would say it's a good time to be a Giants fan because in the offseason, you can have hope.
Hey, I don't know if there's any hope right now, but
Well, one thing that we know about you for sure is that you represent the NYG men, right? But what are some of your other favorite teams in any sport and some of your favorite players?
Yeah, sure. So I'm New York fan, just grew up right outside the city. So I'm a Giants fan, I guess, unfortunately right now, but you did get 2 Super Bowls, so that was a good time. Then same way, Yankees, Knicks, those are probably the big 3 for me that I pay attention to. So obviously, growing up in the 90s, Derek Jeter's the guy. Go right into 2000s, Eli Manning is the guy, the end days of Allen Houston before his knees gave out, that kind of stuff with the Knicks. Melo comes, Eli wins Super Bowls, and now we're just kind of in limbo, I guess is the right word for New York sports.
Aaron Judge, all rise.
I would love nothing more than to give Aaron Judge the C on his jersey, but I think we're going to have to win a wild card game first to get there.
I hear you. So New York limbo it is. Allen Houston was actually one of my favorite players in basketball too. I used to love Allen Houston. Big Allen. I love that team with Sprewell in Houston. And Marcus Camby from Massachusetts. Oh man, that was actually a Knicks team that I actually really liked. So on the flip side of the coin, what are some teams and some players that just hit that nerve?
I guess the obvious place to start is in Massachusetts, in Boston. So that's the easy one. Anyone that played for the Red Sox, I mean, that's just kind of the way you are at the Yankees. Now, you respect some of them, but back in the days of like Jason Varitek and Trot Nixon, or even Pedro, throwing Don Zimmer's neck to the ground, and that was at 04. But I mean, just the whole New York Boston. But I wouldn't trade it for the world because not that many cities have that rivalry that New York and Boston does. Like, I can't, not to take a shot, I guess, at like the Oklahoma City Thunder. I guess maybe they're the Warriors. I guess like that, but it just doesn't feel the same.
No, it's not.
The crowd, like the town like that, for sure.
You know what? I'm from Philadelphia, and I happen to be a Cowboys fan. And
excuse me?
Yes, that is true. I am a Cowboys fan. We will talk about that a little bit later, right?
All right.
But listen,
you make the rules.
The Eagles hate the Cowboys. Now, me, because I grew up in Philly, I hate the Eagles as passionately as they hate the Cowboys. But Cowboys fans don't even care about the Eagles. Like, people hate the Cowboys. Cowboys don't have a team that they hate more than the Cowboys. So I appreciate the rivalries like Boston and New York because both teams hate each other equally. That really fuels something. But, the Cowboys fans are sick. They hate the Dallas Cowboys just as much as they love them. And we are our own rival. It's ridiculous. But, yes, I appreciate rivalries.
No, that's good. I mean, I think I probably hate Cowboys fans more than I hate the Cowboys. I don't know if that makes it feel any better, but
that makes
I hate the
sense.
Eagles. I hate the Eagles and their fans. The Washington football team kind of just hangs out in the DMV, but the other 2, I should say.
I'm not sure if anyone feels any sort of way about a Washington football team fan.
I think we all feel bad.
No,
Dan Snyder. I feel bad.
When they start winning, man, they get loud and then they get on your nerves. But their team has been so trash that they're just quiet for a long time.
Didn't they win the division last year?
Yeah, they were talking so much crap, but they've been silent all year. All year. Trust me. But yeah, I agree. Dallas Cowboys fans can be annoying. I hate them myself, so trust me. as a diehard Cowboys fan, I absolutely get it. But so we talked about some of your favorite teams, and you even brought up some memories when you were replaying your rivalry with Boston.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of your favorite sports memories in your timeline as a New York sports fan?
I would go back once again to the Yankees. Now, maybe I'm a front runner as a kid, or maybe I'm just blessed that they started winning. But those really, like 96, I think I was 3 or 4. I start to remember that. But as you start to get older, it's like, this is the hot team in town. The Knicks are starting to get a little good. The Giants make the Super Bowl against the Ravens. I think that was 2000.
Yep.
Yankees are finishing off their kind of dynasty. So it's like a really good time for New York sports. And I remember all those games. Like, I don't want to remember the Giants-Ravens Super Bowl, but I did love the game before against the Vikings, the 41-0 domination. But, you know, it kind of like, we've been on highs, going to limbo in the mid-2000s. And then obviously, how can you not talk about beating the Patriots twice in the span of 4 years, including, you know, the undefeated season. I know, helping out the Jets fans like you, JW over there, but we try to do our best. But obviously the good times are great. You can remember those. Like, just anytime you win a title, it's truly changing. And that's just coming from a fan. You know, there's no monetary value for me besides the money I'm going to spend on memorabilia, but that's coming out of my pocket. You know, it's not the team helping me out.
Absolutely. No,
that helmet catch. That's why I put my hand. That helmet catch was unbelievable.
You know, once in a while on a sad day, you know, maybe it's raining outside or it's a little cold, and I'll throw on some 2007 Giants Pats Super Bowl. You know, just like comfort food, just to feel good. You know, to feel something, as they say, for a while.
Hey,
it helps.
Now, obviously, there's been some heartache over the years too. So what would you say is your most forgettable New York sports memory?
I guess maybe the entire last season that the Giants played is probably in the top 5 for now. But I think it starts with Yankees blowing the 3-0 lead to the Red Sox. I think that was a pretty tough pill to swallow, especially because it never happened before. And then I guess, you know, I'll get some basketball in there. Maybe just Amar'e Stoudemire's knees going out. That was kind of tough when they had something going, and then Roy Hibbert jumping up to stop Melo in Game 6 of the the second round. That still gives me nightmares.
The only time you can put Roy Hibbert's name in something that he did good. You know,
that's a good point. That is a good point.
You know, since Georgetown, it just sucks. But I'm a big Amar'e Stoudemire fan. Obviously, I'm a Phoenix Suns fan too. But I felt like Amar'e was having an MVP type of season, man.
He was
in New York before they even acquired Melo, and then before the injury. Like, I just felt like he was playing unreal.
It's a shame too, because I always say that first Knicks season with him there, like he had the Knicks are back quote, and then going in. And I remember them playing the Celtics that one night where he had the buzzer beater that ended up in his hand. And
I remember that night.
Funny story, I actually met Amar'e Stoudemire in a bathroom. I'm not even kidding. And you know how they always say to not talk to people in the bathroom and whatnot. But it was just at like a work event. And I go to the urinal, I start going, and I just like kind of look over to my right, and like obviously my head has to go up.
Yeah, I was about to say you high level.
And I look to my right, and I'm like can I say? I feel like this is not the right place to say it, but I'm never gonna see him again. So as soon as he turns around to the sink, I'm like, "Hey, Amar'e, just like really wanted to tell you that like loved you on the Knicks." And that first team that you were on, one of my favorites. But I do want to say, like, it did suck when the ball was in your hands for half a second too late against the Celtics. And he, and that buzzer beater. I mean, he appreciated it. He was super nice. He probably walked out and was like, "That's just part of the job. These idiot fans are coming up to me in the bathroom." But I'll always remember that. I will remember that. So.
That's awesome, man. I'm so glad you waited until like he got to the sink, because
I had a little respect.
The whole bathroom code. But I would be mad awkward. Like if Amar'e, he didn't just come up to the stall next to you, right?
It was one down. I think
it was not a red flag on him, especially since he's 7 foot. Like if he just glances over, it's like, dude, keep your head up, man. Like like there's a rule: you never go to the stall next to the person. So
middle open. I was on the left. He was on the right. Not that I remember it in detail, I guess. But
that's funny. My favorite Amar'e memory happened to be on the court, not in the bathroom. And
like most people,
I remember when Amar'e dunked on Shane Battier, and Shane took a charge. So Amar'e didn't realize they called charge yet, and he was reaching out to pick Shane Battier up. But when he realized it was a charge, he like put his hand back, and Shane was so thirsty. He was like, "Come on, man! Like, somebody help me up!" It's absolutely one of my top 3 favorite highlights.
Oh man, when he could jump, he was a special player. And like I say that as like he could fly out of the gym when he could dunk like that off pick and rolls. It's nothing better than that for him.
No doubt. One of my favorite players. Literally the first Knick jersey that I bought with like my own money was Amar'e. I'm telling you, I was unbeatable from the years 2010 to 2013 in 2K. If I played as a Knicks online, I was unbeatable with that team.
That's some big talk right there.
That's well, I don't know if we can take the time machine if they have it, because I know now they have like classic teams. I don't know if they have that team now. I'm sure I can still do some work, but pre-Melo trade, I was unbeatable, but like after Melo trade for 2K, so
you couldn't like
Taylor Melo stat. Oh my gosh,
slicing the wins together with Wilson Chandler and all the Ronaldo Balkman coming through. He's probably a good player on 2K.
Well, no, the original lineup, Wilson Chandler and Gallinari. Like I was threes all day, and then Amar'e was just cleaning up the glass. But the after trade, and I had like Shumpert, like they didn't know what Shumpert was. He was like a 68, but he could play. He was so fast. Like he was just oh my god, it was so fun. It was so fun.
The Knicks were the team to use when they had Amar'e and Melo in 2K.
Yeah,
in 2K they were the team to use.
So moral of the story, Woody, is you realized how to unleash him on Shumpert, not the actual team he played for in real life. You could do it in 2K. So I'm glad it worked out for one of us.
Speaking of working out, how about we talk about the G-men right now, right? Let's talk about these New York Giants who have just made significant changes. They're trying to position their franchise. Now, you were talking about some of the great memories of the Giants, and you were talking about when they won the 2 Super Bowls. That was a team that was so disciplined. They were coached by the great Tom Coughlin. There was accountability all throughout the building. And then Tom Coughlin retires. They bring in McAdoo. McAdoo doesn't work. They go to Shermer. Shermer doesn't work, and then they bring in Joe Judge, and they just got rid of Joe Judge. It's been a very stressful time in New York. Gettleman retired. Gettleman is the reason why
retired.
Gettleman supposedly retired, but there's a lot of feelings for the New York Giants. I think they just interviewed Joe Scowen, the assistant GM of the Buffalo Bills, twice. It looks like he might get that job, and he might hire the head coach. So, Dan, you as a New York Giants diehard fan, what would you kind of like to see the team do right now?
That is a loaded question that we're going to need to write essays on, because I don't know if the Giants know what to do. Because, I mean, even just to trace it, it all has to start at the top. I mean, he's the one that empowered Dave Gettleman. He hired him. And then the team is now paying for the sins of Dave Gettleman. I mean, everything you can trace back to 2018. Just that whole thing. I mean, he was 19 and 43, and that's about a 30 winning percentage, 5 straight double-digit losing seasons. He was a part of 4 of them. So it's not like he had a lot of good things we could say about him. And now that he's gone, which he should never been hired, to be honest. Like, he's an older man. He should have just went into retirement after the Panthers Super Bowl. That would have been good. But now, with a tarnished legacy like that of what he did to the Giants and all these bad moves, it's really hard to find good ones. And now the Giants are truly at a rebuild. They tried to fake a rebuild a few times, but now it is as close to like ground zero rebuild as you can get with the coach and the GM, and which we'll get into, I'm sure, the quarterback as well, which is coming.
Yeah. Now
this
the
is
rumor
the first
mill,
time I've ever heard a Giants fan officially say Daniel Jones is not the guy.
Well, you don't talk to the right one.
Say that? Oh, okay. Yeah.
I want to meet the people that say that. Maybe they used to call him the WFAN. That's all I can think of who the Daniel Jones defenders are. But I am not a Daniel Jones defender whatsoever. I'm just going to be nice to him. I'm sure he's a very nice guy. Like, he had a good time in Hoboken that one night with Eli Manning. Like, it was like a fun time.
Yeah.
They say he's, first in, last out. Unfortunately, that hasn't translated to success on the field. So it's time to move on, but they may be forced to bring him back. And that's just the reality of the situation because of the sins of Dave Gettleman, which is going to be a recurring theme.
So let me ask you, is there because you got some big pieces, I feel like, right? Like, you have the young quarterback, you have Saquon, right?
Do we?
So that's a point in itself. I mean, like, which of these pieces, how many foundational pieces do you think you have on your offense right now?
On our offense, as I go through every position, I'm going to say 0. A foundational piece, I'll be nice and be realistic. You could, if Andrew Thomas trends a little more in the right direction, that's a tackle. Now, whether he's playing left or right, I don't know. Now, he hasn't looked like a foundational tackle all the time, but like, that is, you invested in him. You spent a high draft pick on him. Maybe he can be good. Maybe. Other than that, it's really hard to find someone that you can build around a team. And that's just such backwards way of thinking. Like, the Giants have done everything in reverse since Gettleman took over in 2018. Like, I had to write down some names just so the angry Giants fans here can vent as well as they listen to it. But I call Dave Gettleman just kind of like a prisoner of the moment guy. That he was the type of GM that maybe saw 1 or 2 plays on a highlight tape, and he's like, that's my guy. That's it. I saw that pancake block. I saw that quick juke. I saw that awesome catch. But what he doesn't realize is that when people study tape, like, they watch the whole tape. The beginning, the middle, and the end. And he's just watching the Twitter highlight. That's it. So when that's your GM and that's his mentality, we got a lot of Twitter highlight guys because the Giants social team will do it because there's not a lot of good plays. And they got to find once in a while to get these little 20, 30-second plays. And it just kind of just boggles my mind that John Mara hired this guy to do it because he comes in 2018, gets Pat Shurmur, 2 years with the Browns. He's 4-12, 5-11. 2 years with the Giants. Let's just flip him. He's 5-11 and he's 4-12. So thank you for that. His first couple moves. Let's sign Nate Solder, who, he went Super Bowl with the Pats. Like, that was nice. They had to overpay. I get it. He was the anchor this year of the 30th ranked offensive line. Thank you. I appreciate that. Then he signs Patrick Omameh right away with Nate Solder. Gives him 3 years, $15 million. That man played 6 games. Got hurt. They released him at the end of the year. Kareem Martin, another guy who they're just like, oh, he's going to get some sacks. He's going to come off the edge. That's great. 3 years, we'll give him, $21 million. Obviously, it's a lot less guaranteed. Played in 21 games. 1.5 sacks. And it just keeps piling up. It's snowballing. This whole effect. You go into the draft. You have the number 2 pick. Everyone's saying, Eli Manning's on the back half of his career. Everyone's saying that but John Mara and Dave Gettleman. They're the only ones who are, you know what, maybe we can build around them. We got Odell Beckham. We got Eli. He won a Super Bowl. We got the number 2 pick. Now, I'm first to admit, I wanted Sam Darnold. So I know that might hurt you, Woody, that I wanted Darnold. I know you're a Jets fan, but I wanted Sam Darnold. And at least you can rationalize that pick.
Definitely.
Now, if they were going to take a quarterback, let's say they like Eli Manning, they should have done what the Colts did. Could have traded back with the Jets. Maybe pick Quentin Nelson. Get a foundational piece on the line. That guy's going to the Hall of Fame. He probably is. But no, Dave Gettleman said that Saquon Barkley was touched by the hand of God, and he took a running back at 2. Now, I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school and grammar school. And I can't say I'm an atheist. But if an atheist were to come up to me and say, Dave Gettleman saying that God touched Saquon Barkley, I might convert to atheism. Because there's no way that happened. It's just mind-boggling news. And I know you guys are outsiders too, looking in, and like you can laugh at our incompetence and whatnot. And we're like on the inside, like crying, pretty much crying that it just continues to get worse and worse and worse over these last, honestly, since the loss of the Packers in 2016. It's just been horrible.
And then Gettleman, Gettleman's got the Godfather voice. I can't even do this. I can't do it, but yeah. I love when Gettleman said, we watched the Daniel Jones tape, and I was just in full-blown love. After saying Saquon was touched by the hand of God, Gettleman is a salesman. He is definitely a salesman. He was in full-blown love with Daniel Jones.
Once again, I want to be nice to Daniel Jones, who I'm sure he's a nice kid and whatnot. But like that Twitter video, like, you're not that guy, pal. That's what every time I say to Daniel Jones and I see him, like, you're not that guy, pal. You're just not that guy. You're the definition of average. And that's what he's been.
Let me ask you one thing as I try to compose myself after, oh my gosh, tears in my eyes, everything. Killed the game with that. But I got to ask, because you even talked about Sam Darnold. All right, I'm probably the only Jet fan in the world that if I see Sam Darnold in Whole Foods, I'm not squaring up. All right, like, Sam's my boy. And I feel like a big problem with his struggles has been that every single year of his career, he has played behind a bottom 3 O-line in the NFL. He got traded to Carolina. He had more weapons. Everyone was expecting him to, be better, and he was better. He actually was better. And then what happened? The O-line got hurt, and they finished one spot behind your New York Giants 31st overall and 34st first in the NFL. And now we know what happened, right, with Sam the rest of the season. Daniel Jones has not played behind any sort of offensive line in the NFL. Do you think if they were able to improve, which you guys actually attempt, it's just that they've
tried. They have tried.
So what do you think if they were to jump up, if you were to put Daniel Jones behind a top, not even a top, like put anywhere in between the 10th and the 20th best offensive line, do you think what Daniel Jones do you think we would see under that scenario?
The same place, to be honest.
Really?
I think he's just an average guy. Like, the decision making really hasn't improved. Still turns the ball over. Like, he's got the most fumbles since 2019. Yeah. I mean, this year, like, I know it was shortened 11 games for him, but he had 10 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, just about 2,400 yards. Is an awesome offensive line going to improve that? What is he, maybe then 3,000 yards, maybe 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions? Like he'll go into that tier maybe of, if you have a good team around him, you can make the playoffs. It's possible. I'm not going to cut him out yet because he hasn't had stability. I will give him that with just the line, the play calling, all of that. Now, if you got like a young offensive coach in here and they wanted to run it back with Jones on the last year of his deal, because I'm assuming they're not giving him the 5th-year option, because that is malpractice if they give it to him. With a neck injury right now, I would actually – that would be the worst move I've ever seen if they give him that 5th-year option. But if you bring him back, it's cheap. Cheap quarterback last year, and obviously the Giants are so many moves away. So you could sell me on we get a young offensive coach in here. Maybe we can see some progress with them. Maybe. And then you kind of just play the quarterback game next offseason. Maybe.
I think one of the biggest disservices to Daniel Jones was the hiring of Jason Garrett as his offensive coordinator. No, I'm serious.
He's clapping.
Jason Garrett doesn't have, and he has the oldest playbook possible of any coach. He doesn't come to the game and adjust during the game, and it's a big disservice. I mean, if you look at Jason Garrett, when he took over for Tony Romo, Tony had already been groomed by Bill Parcells and Sean Payton. Tony understood offense. He sat for 3 years. He checked out all of Jason Garrett's plays. Like, Tony was Mr. Checkout, like at the line of scrimmage. No, he was. Now, he was turnover prone and everything, but he wasn't even running Jason Garrett's offense. Dak's rookie year, Tony had the headset in. Tony was the offensive coordinator that entire season. What happened the next season when it was all on Jason Garrett? Dak looked like WTF. Like, who is this guy? What is he doing, right? But Dak, he started to learn. But then, obviously, Jason Garrett, it didn't work. And then he goes to New York, and I feel bad for Daniel Jones. I feel like he hasn't had a chance. Now, one of the main questions that I'm sure Joe Scowen probably had to really iron out is, all right, so look, if we give you this job, man, what are you going to do with our quarterback? What are you going to do at quarterback? And, like, you know, are you going to look for a coach to continue developing him? We're really not too high on giving him that 5th-year option. So what's your next move if we just give him 1 year? What's your plan? So I'm sure Joe Scowen has had to answer those questions. How would you answer those questions? What move would you like to see made? Like, you know, figuratively speaking.
Well, I guess at quarterback, there are 2 ways you can go. It's either going to be Daniel Jones, no 5th-year option, and you hope you can coach him up and he'll look like a quarterback again. That's not a guarantee. It's just not. Like, he hasn't improved. You know, he had a nice game against the Saints. That was awesome. He had that cool game in Tampa a couple of years back. But it's just, there's so much tape on him and so much evidence. Now, if you don't go Daniel Jones, you know, you're going to hear the trade machines fire up. Does Russell Wilson want to come here? Does Deshaun Watson? Like, do we have the draft capital? Probably. You know, they could give away the first-round picks this year. It's probably going to take at least 3 first rounds to get those guys, probably to get a seat at the table to talk to those teams. Mm-hmm. It's possible. But the Giants need a lot of players. So I get not wanting to make a swing like that. I guess I'm trying to talk this out of how they're probably just going to end up with Daniel Jones again. But I had a kind of a dark horse quarterback. People are going to laugh at.
I think I know what you're going to say.
You guess.
Can I guess first?
Yeah, go.
Derek Carr.
That's who I was thinking.
I would love Derek Carr. Sign me up for Derek Carr. I just don't think it's – I think it's unrealistic because I think they're going to take care of him in Vegas, like after just what he did. But don't get me wrong. I would love Derek Carr. I wasn't even considering him. I always joke that, like, he's going to look good in blue. But I took that joke to the next player that people aren't going to expect. Now, a lot of cap moves would have to happen. And you're just basically banking on 1 year with this guy just to be a bridge. But you can get it for the right price. I would make the call to San Francisco to see Jimmy Garoppolo's availability. Now, once again, Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm a James G defender when I have to defend him. I call him James G.
I saw you on Twitter acting a fool. You were acting a fool on Twitter.
Now, he's got a big cap hit. It's in the 20s. I think it's like 26 or something. It's his last year, so you like have to think of it as an expiring deal. But this is just if, let's say Jones, like it's a serious neck injury. You can't get Wilson. You can't get Watson. You can't get my boy Gardner Minshew. And we got to look around. Garoppolo for 1 year just to kind of right the ship. It's not that bad. It's really not. And if you wanted to send Daniel Jones to San Francisco to compete with Trey, you'd probably also have to give, I'm guessing, a day 2 pick. Although if they win on Saturday, it might be a first round pick. But it's just the Giants, I guess the bottom line is all options should be on the table.
Yeah.
Which is why I got mad when the report that they were already committed to Jones in 2022. Like, let the GM make that report. Let the new head coach. So this isn't this is a 2-3 year rebuild for the Giants. A lot of moves away, but it starts with the GM, then the head coach, then the quarterback. So the Father, Son, Holy Spirit of all that.
This is more of a curious question, because Will keeps bringing up Joe Schoen, and the rumor is if he, you're right, 2 meetings. If he comes in, he'll bring his boy Brian Daboll, also from Buffalo, to be the head coach. But I'm also seeing an extremely good head coach that was just fired for almost no reason. Brian Flores is out there, and Deshaun Watson has explicitly said that he wants to play for Flores. So just as you say, all options are on the table. The Giants, we want what's best for, or let me not even say we. You want what's best for the Giants. So
I think everyone should want what's best for them because they can do a better job.
Well, so which of those scenarios of the Schoen Daboll pairing, or would you want, Flores Deshaun, under, ex GM, which would be better, do you think?
I think on paper, it's got to be Flores and Watson, just because you're getting a top 5 quarterback, and then you're getting a coach that has shown like I always joke that Joe Judge was the hardo shtick, except he lost. Brian Flores is the hardo that works. Like, they win games, and he does it, and he makes the most out of, average talent becomes good. He's an awesome coach. I would love Brian Flores. I just don't think he's going to come to the Giants, and I don't blame him just because the situation is so bad right now. So if we could get Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, sign me up, because then you could sell me on bringing back Daniel Jones for 1 more year. Hey, look at what I'm going to tread lightly here, and I don't want anyone to clip this. Look at what he did with Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a much better prospect. He's a much better talent. He's a much better quarterback. Maybe we can get Josh Allen in high school and he doesn't run. That's Daniel Jones. Could you sell me on that for 1 year? And then maybe as the cap kind of gets better for the Giants, maybe there's a lot more prospects in the draft. Then we got Daboll and Schoen can go to work next season. I would be in for that, totally.
See, Brian Flores, to me, is cut right out of that Tom Coughlin mode, where he is really he holds his players accountable. He's not going to, he's going to break you down mentally. Like, you got to be mentally, you got to be a mental warrior to play for him. But the people who follow, man, they'll run through a brick wall for him. And I wonder what's going to happen there, because if Flores did wind up getting the job, then a trade for Deshaun Watson would be like headline rumors. Like, who knows if it would be happening. Because keep in mind, Deshaun Watson is still going to have to serve a suspension.
Yeah.
So,
totally.
It could be 6 to 8 weeks, who knows? But he's going to have to serve a suspension. So keeping Daniel Jones makes sense in a sense, unless he had to be part of a trade. But I think I agree with you, Dan. Even though like the Flores-Watson combo would be electric, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I think, Schoen and Daboll and just building it from scratch, like really doing this rebuild, not faking it. Hey, even if you got to trade Saquon, because, he may have some trade value to one of these teams that are in the playoffs right now. or a team that's looking for a running back to kick the tires on.
That sounds awesome to me, by the way, trading Saquon, because I think I speak for a lot of Giants fans too. Like, we're just tired of it. We are totally tired of putting on the Superman cape, running left and right instead of forward. And if you actually watch the games, and like I know we all do, and you'll see the one cool catch he makes or the one highlight, but then, hey, if it's 3rd and 2, we're going up the middle, man. Yeah. Get the 2 yards. And his backup, Devontae Booker, was running 10 times better than him. Like, they finished pretty much with identical stats, rushing, same amount of touchdowns, like almost the same amount of yards. So believe me, if the Giants can find a trade suitor for Saquon Barkley, because that will help with the cap, they'll probably get maybe a day 2 pick, maybe. And I'm being nice because I think his value has kind of come down. But once again, no one should be safe, I guess, is the moral of the story again.
Yeah, it just sounds to me like it's something the Rams would do. The Rams don't believe in draft picks.
That's a good one.
And they will probably trade you for Saquon. They'll probably trade you for Saquon and, be done with Sony Michel. And you have Saquon and Akers out there. Like, I can see it happening. I can see it happening, but, Saquon going to play 5 games. So we already know that. So,
Devontae Booker was amazing in fantasy for me this year, actually. He was so clutch.
Yeah, because he's like a true running back too, but when you put him next to Saquon, it's like he's a running back 1. It's just mind-boggling. And I tried to cut Saquon a lot of slack for the knee injury after. Like, all right, let's see he gets a little healthier. You could say the offensive line, but if you look at his counterpart who's running a lot harder and better, and Booker, can we blame the offensive line anymore, or is it just him? And I kind of side with the latter.
Man, it's there's a stat out there that the Giants signed Kenny Golladay and drafted Kadarius Toney in the 1st round. And
know where it's going, but you can.
Can you finish it? Because I can't finish the thought. Someone had more catches than both of them combined.
No, it was TDs. Andrew Thomas, their left tackle.
Andrew Thomas, the offensive lineman. Yeah, I didn't mean to say catches. The offensive lineman had more touchdowns.
We don't know
than both of them, right? But hey, a lot of questions in New York.
What was the game though that Kadarius Toney had like almost 200 yards?
I think it was the Cowboys, and then he got hurt kind of at the end, and he tried to. I believe he tried to punch someone at the end of that altercation. He got thrown out.
Yeah, he tried to punch. I think it was DeMonte KZ. But he goes by Young Joka. That's just Young Joka. So that's what he does. He's so talented. His ankles. You want to talk about someone that's hand of God? God touched his ankles because those things. I don't know how he makes these moves. But it's baffling to see, and that's why I'm like, this guy is going to sprain his ankle like every 2 games. But he's a wonder to watch when he's on. I'm a big Florida Gators fan, and he reminded me of Percy Harvin, just like a little bit more. He's like just a little bit more. I guess you could call it stronger. Like Darius he's an ox, man. But he can move, he can change direction. Totally. I think that's a good piece that you guys have. If you guys had a quarterback and maybe a couple more pieces on the line, I really think that the NFC East could be back into contention. So let's talk about the NFC East overall. And I got a little gripe, man, because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. And I'll tell you what, people don't believe me when I say this, but yes, I love to see our counterparts lose, but I actually want your teams to be good. And I'll tell you why. Because for the Cowboys, and this dates back to history, when the Cowboys whoop up on the bad team, like when the division is bad and the Cowboys just dominate you guys, when it's time to play a real team, we don't know what to do. But when we fight you hardcore and maybe we split 1-1, we're playoff ready. We can actually win in the 1st round, right? So I value that. I love these matchups. I want to see the Giants get better. I want to see the Eagles get better. the Washington team can suck forever. That's just the one team that I don't care anything about, right? But at least with the Eagles and the Giants, man, those games go hard. So obviously, Cowboys are going to have a lot of continuity going into next year. Not much is going to change with them. They might.
So you're certain that Mike McCarthy keeps his job?
I was going to say that.
I'm certain Mike McCarthy keeps his job, because Jerry Jones isn't just going to fire him and not know what to do next. If Jerry Jones, because Jerry doesn't hire the young offensive coordinator. That's not his style. He's never going to do it. He's going to hire somebody that's established, right? So the only person out there that Jerry Jones would bring in immediately is if they decided that they were going to trade for Sean Payton, right? And if they traded for Sean Payton, they would all of a sudden there would be breaking news that Mike McCarthy has been let go. But this is definitely going to be a toasted bun season for Mike McCarthy. He's going to be on a hot seat all year, right? So that is what's going to happen, in my opinion. So the only thing the Cowboys might lose is Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn. Kellen Moore, overrated, overhyped. He starts off really good. He starts off with his offense looks great. But by midseason, when defensive coordinators catch what he's doing, he doesn't have a counter. We've seen this 3 years in a row for Kellen Moore now. But, everybody's looking for that young offensive mind. He may get a job. So he could go. I really don't want to lose Dan Quinn, but I'm afraid we're going to. I'm afraid the Denver Broncos may do that. Maybe even your Giants, because I think he's from Jersey, actually. So, but you never know.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on Dan Quinn personally because
I don't think.
No, but I get it though.
Either.
He deserved another shot after the year he just had. And I know you were talking about McCarthy replacements just in case. I'm sure they've had the discussion of, hey, if we don't want to lose Dan Quinn, maybe we should just elevate him to be head coach.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I really wouldn't be opposed to that. I just don't know if that's how Jerry Jones operates. I agree. It's Jerry Jones, man. Look, we can want whatever we want as Cowboys fans. It's going to be what Jerry wants, and he
wait. So Will, if you were in charge of the Cowboys, what would you do with the head coaching situation?
If I was in charge of the Cowboys, Mike McCarthy would be sitting in free agency as a head coach right now. Right? Brian Flores would be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, because I'll tell you why. The Dallas Cowboys, the only times they have been legitimate championship contenders, they had head coaches who kept everyone accountable, who took nothing, who instilled discipline. Jimmy Johnson, right? Jimmy Johnson in the 90s, he created that roster. That team was as disciplined as it gets, right? Jerry Jones wanted some of the spotlight because Jimmy's not a yes man. That relationship broke up. Then Jerry went through some garbage head coaches, the Dan Campbells, and some other. We were 5-11. Then he decided that he wanted to get Bill Parcells, who is one of the greatest coaches of all time. Bill Parcells is not a yes man. Bill Parcells holds his players accountable, instills discipline in those guys, right? That team, he took the same team without adding anything extra that went 5-11 to 10-6 the next season. Lost Quincy Carter and continued to. By the time he built the team to when it could compete for a championship, Jerry Jones got rid of him, brought in soft patty cake Wade Bum Phillips, right? Which eventually that team got passed to Jason Garrett. We all know that story. And here we are with Mike McCarthy. The tissue just gets softer, right? I would put Brian Flores in there because he's going to do what Jimmy and Bill Parcells did, right? But the reason why that's not going to happen is because Brian Flores is not a yes man. That's the reason why he's looking for a job right now. Miami wanted him to, operate a certain way. He was against it. Now he's out of a job. So if I actually had say, that would be my pick for a head coach. But it's not my say, unfortunately.
It is funny, though, and ironic that you're right about when the Cowboys have had successful teams, it's coaches that have a little personality. It's guys that fight back, and they clearly have expiration dates because when they start to surpass Jerry, see you later.
Gone. Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah, that's it, right?
It's like he likes one as soon as you get, you get on the ride once, you got to wait online again. All right, I'm taking someone else. Like you got to go back. Like I get a little success, and then you know what? I'm gonna get someone else, and it's funny almost.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the Eagles real quick, because the Eagles just made the playoffs. They didn't beat a team over 500, but that doesn't matter. They won 9 games and they made it into the dance. They got some momentum. At the beginning, it didn't look like Nick Sirianni was a credible head coach, but he totally turned it around. They ran the ball. Jalen Hurts. There's already some fans talking about, should we go after a guy like Derek Carr? What should we do at quarterback? So the fans aren't really sold on Jalen Hurts, but the team just may be. Me personally, and I don't say this as an Eagles hater. Obviously, I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't think the Eagles can do it again next year. I don't think they can. Now for the Giants, for you guys, I really think if you get the right guy in charge, right? It's hard because Daniel Jones, but I don't really think Daniel Jones and Jalen Hurts are that different as far as talent. Like I think I would actually prefer to have Daniel Jones over Jalen Hurts. The Giants just need to establish a dominant run game. Jalen can run the ball too. That's risky, injury waiting to happen. But hey, you do it until it happens. But if the Giants stop playing around and they actually, whoever they bring in as coach, if they can, this draft has some quality running backs in it, some guys who can run between the tackles. If the Giants can get one of those guys and they can establish a run game, their defense is pretty good. I think they could be a team that can be competitive, like, maybe 500 or above. I actually think it can happen.
Oh, man.
I know it sounds crazy, but,
it is.
they actually – see, Joe Judge to me should have never been a head coach to begin with. Anytime your head coach has your assistant coaches running laps, this guy you need to get him out of here. Get him out of here because he's doing too much. That's what
the offseason was a circus. A circus.
When you care more about picking out your favorite general from World War II, quote, to tell the team instead of actually winning games, then we got a problem.
Right.
We don't need – I'll never forget when the Rams were, destroying the Giants when they came to MetLife. Did I expect the Giants to win? Absolutely not. But, do you want to get embarrassed like that? No. And the quote after the game was he told the locker room, like, all right, who's going to come out and join me for the fight? If I was in that locker room, I'm walking up to you, Coach, we're down 30. This isn't a fight. It's over. Like, we have already been knocked out 3 times. So I'm no more Joe Judge because it just drives me insane. It just drives me insane.
Well,
but yeah, you go.
Because I feel like there's some disrespect going on, and it's not about Joe Judge because he was the ringleader. The Greatest Show. I don't know who that was about. It was a circus, right? I think it was about the story of Joe Judge. But all I gotta say is that I feel there's some disrespect for the Washington football team. I mean, this was a team that won the division last year. They were not great this year, but they won 7 games. Like, they weren't that far behind the Eagles. And if you want to talk about a team that may be a quarterback away, I don't understand how the Washington football team is getting disrespected. So let me just ask you guys point blank. I think I already know Will's answer, but I'll ask because I don't want to assume. Are you guys less worried about the Washington football team than you are about the Eagles for the next 3 years?
Well, I want to know what you think my answer is.
I mean, you've been hyping up the Eagles all. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Washington is tough forever. That's what you've been saying.
Pause. I've been hyping up the Eagles.
Not hyping up, but you just have not You literally said the words like Washington's gonna suck. Like
no. I said I hope they suck because that's like like I don't know what it is about the Washington football team. I think my biggest arch nemesis is the Philadelphia Eagles, but the Washington football team is really close. I can't stand them. I love to see them. Like I don't like when the Eagles and the Giants are bad because I think the Eagles and Giants, when they're good, they bring out the best in the Cowboys. Like I just being honest, like those matches, they help. The Washington football team, though, they're just so consistently bad. But I will say this: they got Ron Rivera. I really respect him as a head coach. This defensive line, like before the season, we were talking about like they might look like the '85 Bears out there. Like that clearly didn't happen. Like Chase Young was getting Chase Young was getting destroyed by the very Giants offensive line. Like they were whipping him around in that game early in the year on Thursday night. But I do think if they got a quarterback, and I'll even say a guy like Gardner Minshew, right? Because I don't know what the market is for them, but
music to my ears, by the way. Music to my ears.
Even if you guys got Gardner Minshew, I believe in Gardner Minshew. I really do. I do. I believe in him, right?
I wrote an article about Gardner Minshew like a year ago of why are teams not inquiring about this dude? Because in 2 years in Jacksonville, that guy was like 37 touchdowns, 11 interceptions for a team that was trying to lose. Yeah. Like you can't teach accuracy, can move in the pocket. Like why wouldn't a team? And look what he did with Philly when he came in. Like I'm not going to count like the last game. He played so well. Like he's
They gave up on him way too fast in Jacksonville. I mean, I get you're bringing in the golden boy, but still, I think Gardner, man.
He's a guy like he should just look at Ryan Fitzpatrick and be like, I can be a better version of him. Like I can.
He can.
Like I'm more accurate. Well, obviously now he's younger and whatnot, but why wouldn't teams like consider who need a bridge quarterback or you want to just give him a 1-year deal? Like what, as you said, the football team, the Giants, like if you bring in a veteran in him, even someone like
maybe even the Vikings, if they move on from
the Vikings.
The Browns. That's a good one.
Vikings would be great for Gardner.
And I'm not saying Gardner Minshew is going to be a star in this league. In my heart of hearts, I would love him to be a star. But if you get him in short spurts, kind of like Fitzy of 1-2 years, then he kind of moves on, does it? That could really help out a team. And I think like he definitely could. Like there was an argument. I know people are going to call me crazy of him over Hurts, of just watching him. But it's funny because once that argument started, Philly just started to run the ball down teams' throats, and they actually started playing better. But before then, Hurts was struggling, mightily passing. And Minshew can pass. Like I know that sounds like such a first-grade argument, but like the stats are there to back him up. Like he did pretty solid in Jacksonville. I definitely look out for Gardner.
Didn't Gardner have to? Didn't he start for the Eagles against the Jets?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. He destroyed us. He completed 23 attempts.
A lot of Eagles fans were ready to put Jalen Hurts on the bench for good. Obviously, they turned the team back over to the to Jalen Hurts. But yeah, man, Gardner, I think his better days are ahead of him, and maybe he'll have a lot of options this year. Like we'll see. We'll see what happens. He definitely
has a chip on his shoulder.
But if Washington if Washington were to get a guy like him, I think they could also be contenders. So if I had to rank how I think, if every team did, let's just call it like this. Everybody give their answer. If every team in the NFC East did what the best possible moves for their franchise, we don't have to name them. Let's just say they did the best things they could do.
What if 1 through 4 all the other 3 teams like started Gardner Minshew? Like just
like 1 through 4, where do you think they could finish? I mean, I'll go first, not being a homer. I just think the Cowboys had a good season. If we were saying who could advance in the playoffs, I don't know if I picked them, but I do think they would still have to be considered the favorites in the division, right? So I'll put them 1. Number 2, if every team did the best possible case scenario, I would actually put the Washington football team there. I won't give 3 and 4. I want to hear what you guys think about primarily number 2, because you would have to really be
Well, here's the thing. I mean, talent-wise, it's obviously the Cowboys. But just that quirky NFC, it's almost a rule at this point that a team doesn't win the division 2 years in a row.
Yep.
Like, I don't think that's happened since McNabb's Eagles.
That's what's so
in my
scary.
head, I'm like, Dallas is one, but they just won. So by the law of the NFC East, does Philly or Washington have to win? Because it won't be the Giants. So I'm not even going to be a homer. They're last, but you're definitely right in saying Dallas is by far the most talented team. But second, I think if the Eagles pick up the phone, call Seattle, hey, what's Russell Wilson up to? Maybe they pick up the phone to call Houston. Hey, like, what's Deshaun Watson up to? Even Vegas. Hey, what's Carr up to? They'd be dumb not to. With 3 picks in the top, I think it's the first 19, and you got a chance to upgrade Jalen Hurts, who maybe he will be good one day, but if they can upgrade right now, they're doing themselves a disservice by not trying to get one of those top guys that we all mentioned. So if they got like Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, they're the clear 2, maybe even the 1.
Hey,
and then the flip side, if Washington gets a quarterback, they also have a decent roster too. Like, as you said, Rivera's a good coach, Chase Young and all that. Like, Terry McLaurin's a great receiver. You know, Antonio Gibson started to come on. But it's funny because all these teams are basically have either a coach problem or a quarterback problem. And now every team's just trying to figure it out. Like, the Giants obviously have both. Dallas has a coach problem. Quarterback problem, I'll call it. Philly has maybe Nick Sirianni is good. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna call them to be determined. Both him and Hurts. This is
definitely a TBD year.
Yeah, and Washington, I don't know how you guys all feel. Like, I think Ron Rivera is a pretty good coach. Like, I don't think they have a coach problem there. They clearly have a quarterback problem.
Yeah.
So it's basically a game of chess in this division of who's going to get the quarterback and who's going to get the coach right. And when that happens, you know, maybe we'll have a good division once again. But I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
I'm so curious to see what would have happened if Ryan Fitzpatrick played the season. I know every single time you give him the keys, he becomes Fitz-tragic. But, you know, I don't know. I'm really curious to see. I would actually bet money. And this is no disrespect. This is literally just the law of the NFC East that Dan alluded to earlier. I was going to bring it up myself because it's almost been 20 years. Almost 20 years. I would bet money the Cowboys do not win the NFC East this next season. And I would actually say that it goes back to the Washington football team. I think they will find a QB. I don't know who it will be. But, they don't need, Aaron Rodgers to make waves.
Be nice.
I think it could be like a Gardner Minshew or someone of that tier that can just find Terry McLaurin and these guys. I mean, I don't think they're that far away. As for the Eagles, I mean, both of their lines are fierce, man. I mean, I think the Eagles are a pretty good team, but like we were saying, they might have a coach and a QB problem. We literally do not know. We don't know. And the Giants, Dan, I think you should turn your frown upside down. I don't think they're as far away as you feel like they are. But
how far away, though? Are we talking like one vacation, or is it like I'm saving up the whole year to go like to Hershey Park? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like, there's just a lot of question marks. That's the only reason why the Giants feel so far away. Because if all of those question marks fail, then yes, you are. I feel like you're just assuming the worst right now with all of these guys. Like,
that's very fair.
There's no way. There is no way and this is one of my favorite shirts. I'll give you this shirt off my back if Andrew Thomas has more TDs than just Kadarius Toney next year. You know, there were just a lot of different things going on. And Kadarius Toney, you better protect your ACLs because I love this shirt, man.
We better tape those ankles twice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like a lot of things just went wrong. You know, the Giants were among the most injured teams, and we all know in all sports, sometimes it's not even about the best team; it's about the healthiest team. And the Giants were far from that.
Man, you know, from a Jets fan to a Giants fan, he's telling you there's light at the end of the tunnel. So, you know, New York, same old problems. Just really quick, you guys, just touch on it really fast. New York is known as, well, is it? To me and to the outsiders, you know, New York is known as a Giants city, but there is a Jets, you know, there's Jets faithful out there. And who has, in 5 years, who do you think is going to own the city? Who's going to be king of New York? Is it going to be the Giants or the Jets, and why?
Well, I think we're both going to have the same answer, honestly. If it's very short term, like 2 to 3, like who's got the brighter future, it's the Jets. It's not even close right now. I mean, even if you're taking away, we don't have a head coach or a GM or even the quarterback, the Jets, they built the right way of how I'm jealous. They got the new GM. He cleaned up a lot of the mistakes so far in the past, got cap room, got a new coach. Now, I don't know how Robert Saleh is going to be, but at least you paired him with the new quarterback and you got a young offensive coordinator in there. And Zach, I mean, people were tough on him in the beginning, missing a lot of easy throws, turning the ball over. He kind of finished pretty well. And, like, he kind of shows you these flashes of, wow, like, these throws are special. So I have no reason but to say that the Jets will be they are in the better situation right now. 5 years, I think that's more of a coin flip, but definitely the foreseeable future, it's the Jets.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's hard to disagree with that. Obviously, like one of those power moves, more of the power move of Flores Deshaun would definitely flip that upside down. I think even with Scoen and Dable, right, you know, we would still have to see because you would still have Daniel Jones in there, and I at this point feel confident saying Zach's ceiling is probably higher than Daniel Jones. So you would still kind of have to figure that out. But like, you know, Flores, Deshaun, you know, I'm going the Giants. You know, I like the Jets' future. I'm confident. I'm trying to be careful with my words because I know I'll have to eat them eventually, you know, covering the Jets. But I do like Zach. I like his talent. I like how he developed over the season. Mike LaFleur, I gave him the Jets Rookie of the Year award. What he was doing first time ever as an offensive coordinator, and he had to deal with 4 different quarterbacks throughout the year, and what he was able to get them to do, leading the league in yards per game in Zach's absence, is sort of a miracle. You want to talk about, you know, hand of God, you know, I don't know that playbook, you know, but I think it should be really alarming that our defensive-minded coach trotted out the league's worst defense week in and week out, and you know was getting embarrassed. We were actually on pace to be the absolute worst defense in the history of the NFL with our defensive-minded coach. So that is definitely reason for concern. So I'm not, as a matter of fact, if we're talking about GM, head coach, QB, I'm the least confident in Robert Saleh. I like Joe Douglas. I think he's made some moves. Zach, he showed me improvement. I'm assuming he will improve again, but Saleh, the defensive coach, with the horrible defense that was really relying on Mike LaFleur to you know, keep up pace with letting the Patriots score 50 points. I can't even. So I would agree. I would agree with Dan's assessment, unless Deshaun Watson shows up at MetLife. Then it's over. It's over for you
guys. Over before it began.
Well, I mean, all fair points. You know, personally, I think both New York football teams could be playoff teams in the next 5 years. The foreseeable future, we'll have to see about that. It really depends on what the Giants actually do in this offseason. I still think like you guys have a gritty defense. And, you know, I'm actually hoping that your current defensive coordinator gets the head coaching job. But who knows? It really depends on, like, if Scohen comes in, I don't think that's going to happen, right? But, you know, Jets, it was a rough start for Saleh, but I paid attention to the character of the players that they added in the offseason, and I think this is going to be a grinded-out offseason. Who knows? I don't know if the Jets will make the playoffs next year, but I do think, you know, New York is going to be on the rise. But since we're all sitting on the couch right now enjoying these playoffs, you know, me not so much enjoying them because I still have a sour taste in my mouth, but it is what it is. Let's talk about these matchups. Let's just start with the AFC. And we have the Cincinnati Bengals who have taken and the Titans, two teams who not many would have thought would be in the, you know, active in this week. When Derrick Henry went down and just the Bengals being the Bengals, you know, they're there. But here we are. We have Cincy going to Tennessee. Who do you think is going to win this game and why?
I guess I'll start real quick. I think, obviously, great last week. I mean, that is a true rising star in this league. And you pair him with guys like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, you know, and that is a good foundation. And now I'm going to pull the trap door and say the Titans are going to win because I think Mike Vrabel is a much better coach than Zach Taylor. I think the rest help them. And how much will Derrick Henry play? A lot? I don't know. But if he goes out there, that's just one guy they have to prepare for. So I think we'll be close. I think we'll be ugly. But I'm actually going to pick the Titans to win at home and to move on.
You know, I spent this entire season arguing with Will Gaddy, calling him out, you know, this take, that take, doing all these things. But I'll say right now, something that he said earlier in the season that I will now officially co-sign and apologize for even disputing is that Mike Vrabel is the NFL Coach of the Year. What he was able to do with that team, with all of the injuries, you know, I literally just said, right, it's not always about the best team. It's about the healthiest team. Well, the Titans were neither of those. And not only did they make the playoffs, they were the number one seed in the AFC. I do expect them to beat the Bengals. I'm not trying to jump ahead, but I'm going to say right now, there was let me not say zero, I'll say 3. A 3% chance that either of those teams make the Super Bowl. The real AFC champion is another game. I'll tell you that right now.
Let's talk about that game. I agree with you, fellas. I do think the Titans are going to win this game. I really can't add much to what you said. I just feel like Mike Vrabel is going to have this team ready to advance in the playoffs. And, you know, the Bengals, they're giving it all they got, but you know, I don't know if Zach Taylor ready for what he's about to come up against. It's going to be a great game to watch. I think it's going to be a slugfest out there, but I think the Titans, especially if Derrick Henry plays, are going to take that game. Now, the real game, and out of both conferences, this is the real game. The Buffalo Bills going to Kansas City. And let me tell you, everybody at the beginning of the year was wondering what's going on with the Chiefs. Did they figure out Patrick Mahomes? It's the beginning of the year, and the Chiefs are back. They've been on fire. Buffalo, you know, if you just look at the Bills throughout their history, what do they do when they get far? They lose. They've never, you know, they got to 4 straight Super Bowls, lost all of them, right? And now, last year they got to not last year. Was it? Correct me. It was recently. They went to the AFC.
Yeah,
it was last year.
Yeah, it's a rematch.
This is the rematch. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? if I had to pick who's going to win this game, I got this feeling that the Buffalo Bills are going to be triumphant against the Kansas City Chiefs this week. I would love to see it happen. I'm more so rooting for that to happen, and I think it's possible. Buffalo over KC for sure.
I'm not gonna lie, I was gonna say that too. And honestly, the Chiefs this year, they've started slow a little bit, and I think the Steelers. Like if you watched that first quarter, it was a slow start, but it was also TJ Watt was disrupting, but the difference was that Ben could not do a thing. And, you want to say, well, the Chiefs just turned it on. And yeah, obviously, the Chiefs started putting up points, but that defense was on the field nonstop. They were working, grinding, putting their blood, sweat, tears. And then, okay, Ben goes 3 and out, back on the field. And that is so exhausting. I think not enough times do people realize that it's a full team game. Like people literally just think that it's like, I don't know, like QBs like 1v1 and like defenses, special teams, like nothing else coaching, nothing else matters. And I think that's kind of a ridiculous narrative. When they face the Bills, if they finish the whole first quarter scoreless, I mean, Josh Allen, they're going from an old washed up bum of a QB, no disrespect, man, to literally someone who you can make the argument is the most physically gifted QB in the league right now. I mean, I think Buffalo is going to be able to make them pay if Kansas City doesn't start hot. So I actually think that Buffalo will win this in a very tight, 34-31 type game.
I want to pick Buffalo. I just don't think it's going to happen. It's kind of this. I mean, I think everyone wants to see Allen versus Mahomes go at it back and forth. Like nothing would bring more of a smile to my face than to see that. But until the top dog is knocked off, the AFC, I have no reason to go against him at home. A guy that only has lost one playoff game at home, and he didn't even touch the ball in that game in overtime against the Pats. Every other time, he's been money there. So it's a big ask to ask Josh Allen to come back to Kansas City for a second time and to play just as good after a perfect game last weekend. Do law of averages take over and he kind of takes a step back to earth? Maybe. I think it might happen. But I think the Bills will play well, but in the end, I think it's the Chiefs, 38-34.
Good picks. Good. Well, hey, this is definitely my favorite game of the weekend coming up. Let's jump over to the NFC really quickly before we wrap things up. We got starting off on Saturday.
Do you want me to talk about it?
The San Francisco 49ers are going to play against the Green Bay Packers, right? And, I honestly have a lot of respect for the San Francisco 49ers. They were the better team. They beat us playing actual football. In the playoffs, you got to run the ball. You got to be strong in the trenches. And how can you possibly beat Aaron Rodgers? Well, you can't let Aaron Rodgers get into a shootout. If you're going score for score with the Packers, you're going to lose. He's going to get the ball last, and you're done. Deebo Samuel, the way Kyle Shanahan is utilizing this man right now is changing the way defenses can play. The Dallas Cowboys have played man-to-man defense the majority of the year. Almost 90 to 95% of their coverages have been man. But when your wide receiver can line up in the backfield, you got to play zone, right? This completely changes the dynamic of a defense. And I do think it's going to be a very tough matchup for the Packers. But it is in Lambeau. It is Aaron Rodgers. This may be his farewell in Green Bay, which I kind of think he's going to stay. But you never know. I don't think San Francisco is going to be able to overcome number 12. And I'm going with the Green Bay Packers. Last time they played San Fran in the playoffs, they lost to them. I'm going with the Packers.
I was going to bring that up as well. The last loss that they played against when they put, what was that, the NFC title game where the 49ers just ran the ball down their throats. Yep. And I'm sure Rodgers has been thinking about that a long time. And this, I know it's been used before. It kind of feels like the last dance. He's not Michael Jordan, but he's trying to be. But I'll just put an asterisk on my pick. I'll say it right now. If Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and Jimmy G, who are all shook up, some may miss, some may not. If all three of those guys play, I'm picking the 49ers. If they're missing one of them, Aaron Rodgers will get it done, and the Packers will win. So I guess whenever the injury report, was that going to be 6:45 on Saturday night to see if those guys are playing? But if all three of those guys are playing, I'll take the Niners in an upset.
Wow, that is a claim if I've ever heard one. But hey, I picked the 49ers to lose the first round, so I can't even talk. I don't even think they were the better team, but they do definitely have the better coach. So we'll see here, between the Packers, these are two solid young head coaches. I won't lie. I actually think the story for the AFC is the exact same as the story for the NFC. I think the first seed is going to win, but that other game has the two teams that potentially will go to the Super Bowl. So, yeah, Packers, Titans, enjoy your wins this week. You guys are going to lose. You guys are not going to get that the conference title. That will belong to either the Chiefs or the Bills. I'm thinking the Bills. And this will lead us right into the final game of this division weekend, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the LA Rams. And I'll say right now, I did not have too much faith in the Rams. I think Will saw it last week. I was shook. I was shook trying to make a prediction because there's just so much pressure, on not just the players, but Sean McVay, the whole organization trading away all these picks. They literally, there's no other team in the NFL that has gone all in like this. They have mortgaged their future, just stockpiling all these, broken parts from different teams, Matthew Stafford, Odell, Von Miller, all these different teams to have a super team. And, they did not close out the season strong. And I don't even want to say that they dominated the Cardinals. Honestly, if you ask me what happened on Monday night, Kyler Murray has some sort of meltdown. I don't know.
He wasn't ready.
He was not ready.
Not good.
In here at all. Like, it was really bad. So I don't want to say the Rams won as much as the Cardinals, Kyler, just lost. Like, he, was on another planet. So with that, versus the Bucs, I mean, they already know, why they're here. All 22 starters just came here to run it back. I don't know. I think
gotta make it.
Yeah, you know what? Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They
what?
They're all here. They're all here for a reason. Tom Brady, TB12. Well, actually, let me put in an asterisk like Dan, because the O-line. Okay, there's been some injury. Okay, Tristan Wirfs. He's in a boot right now. So if he does not play, Aaron Donald going to do some work. I'm going to go with the Rams. But a healthy offensive line protecting TB12, because we know the man is not mobile. He's 44. He will scramble every once in a while, but the man is not mobile. Without Tristan Wirfs, I think they're going to lose. If he's up there, if he's suiting up, even for the morale boost, I think the Bucs will win. That's my pick.
I mean, you said the guy's name, Tom Brady. It's very hard to go against him at home in the playoffs, in the divisional round, where I think he's, last time I checked, maybe 14-3, which is just unheard of. And I just said injuries, they really hit the Bucs hard. The Rams are kind of new to this spot for the first time in a few years. I know they did it with Goff, but now they got Stafford. See what could happen. I think will be a good game, but until further notice, my Super Bowl pick was running it back. Bucs, Chiefs. They're going to do it again. So Bucs are winning again.
Matt Stafford got his very first playoff win. Good for him, man. Well deserved, because my man was battling. He was battling it out in Detroit. Finally you got some, good pieces around you, some quality coaching, and you go ahead. Your coach. You only got to throw the ball 17 times, but you guys win the game. You're going to be having to put that ball up this time, man. Listen, the LA Rams beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 4, and there's this old man who's 44 years old who is not happy about that loss. And this is the time. He came here. He came to Tampa Bay to increase his legacy. I cannot see him losing this game. I don't care if Tom Brady was out there passing to, if he had none of his big weapons. Tom Brady is going to find some type of way to defeat these LA Rams. So I'm going with the Rams. Whoops. Rewind.
He set us up for that.
Rewind. I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be victorious over the LA Rams this week. It's going to be an action-packed playoff football week. And good picks, fellas. So that's all we have, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again. We want to shout out our main man, Dan, for coming on the Sportscast, representing New York sports to the fullest. We absolutely got to have you on the show again. We'll talk more basketball and New York Knicks as the trade deadline is coming up and things are turning around. But, man, we really appreciate you being down with us, and we can't wait to do it again, buddy.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for having me. This was a fun time.
Yes, and to all the other sports fans out there, we want you on the Sportscast with us, side to side. We want you to call it how you see it, call it how you saw it, call out those who didn't see it how you saw it, represent your teams, your players, tell us how you feel, and keep it real. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We out.